Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to the 2019 NCAA Division I Outdoor Track and Field Press Conference. We'll conduct this press briefing in two segments today. First, featuring coaches and competitors from our men's championship. Second, we'll feature coaches and competitors from our women's championship. If you guys can please turn off your cell phones or put them on silent mode, please. We'll first introduce our participants, have each answer an opening question, then we'll open the floor to questions from the media. Each session of the presser will last no more than 25 minutes. To start off, we have Edric Floreal, head coach at the University of Texas. Next to him, Wes Kitley, head coach at Texas Tech University. Our three student athletes here, Mondo Duplantis, pole vaulter from LSU, Grant Holloway, hurdler and long jumper from the University of Florida, and Bryce Hoppel, middle distance runner from the University of Kansas. Thank you all for being with us today. We'll start next to me with Coach Flo and work our way down. Coach Floreal, as a head coach of the host institution for this year's NCAA meet, what can fans expect from this event as a whole and specifically from your team this week?
Well, they might expect a little rain, but it's not going to be cold, that's for sure. I think what we've done with James Barr, we've really worked hard and try to make sure that participant, number one, but also that the fans have really good access to making sure that they're able to enjoy the meet and making sure that, the people in the bleachers, the people who are actually paying the bills, that there's a good show put on, with things like food trucks and whatnot. I think we went over and beyond just to make sure that everything is tip-top shape and make sure that the facility is up to par and that kids can compete well and get the coaches out there and let the athletes get to business.
Thank you, Coach. Coach Kitley, can you please tell us about your squad here and how your team is positioned for success this week?
Well, we're thrilled to be here. We love coming to run here at the Texas Relays and on this facility, and we're very familiar with it. But we had a good regional meet. I call it the regional meet, first round. Got everybody we wanted in the meet. We just now need to have a good meet, come here and do what we've been doing all year long.
Mondo, your accolades and awards speak for themselves, but can you take us onto the runway and give us insight into what goes through your mind as you get ready to compete for a national title this week?
I'm not really thinking of it like anything different than, the SC championships or any other meet that I've had in this year. But, pole vaulting's a very tough event, just in itself, just to complete a successful jump. So, whether it's 550, 560, or 6 meters that I'll be jumping at, I'll be taking every jump, 100%, and, just trying to find the rhythm early so I can, of course, win and put up some high bars.
Thank you, Grant. You're doing things in the hurdles and the long jump that have never been done before. You're the two-time defending 110-meter hurdles champion. What factors will play into your success this week?
Just coming out and executing at a high level. I think Coach Holloway, Coach Mann have prepared me to the best of my ability leading into this championship. Now it's just up to me just to come out here and execute as a team.
Thank you. Bryce, what's gone into your success on the track this year, and what's your mindset entering the NCAA championship?
Definitely just focusing on competing. Going to be with some definitely incredible competitors here at the NCAA championships. But just stay focused and keep doing what I do and finishing in the end.
Thank you all. We'll now open to questions for the media. We do have mic holders here, so please raise your hand. We'll come around and bring a mic to you. Please state your name and affiliation, please. Middle.
Yeah, I'm Lincoln Shrike with FloTrack.com. Grant, I want to know, after your loss to Daniel Roberts at SECs, did you change anything either with your approach or in practice to get better, to improve, and make sure that that doesn't happen again?
No, not at all. At SECs I didn't execute at all, and I still ran a pretty fast time. So it's more so we just hammered execution. Executing at a high level, under pressure, you got to be able to have ice in your veins. So, went back to practice that Monday, did a volume workout, took the next day off, watched film before I went out to a hurdle workout, and we kept everything the same. At this point, it's just doing everything that you were taught and executing to the best of your ability.
Did the loss at all knock your confidence down? Do you take it now that, because you told me at East that you were the underdog. Do you really feel that way?
I mean, I think once someone loses a major conference or a major championship, they're always considered the underdog once someone upsets them. But in my case, I'm human. I put my pants on the same way as everybody else in this room, so I'll take the loss with a grain of salt and move on.
Brian, up here in the front.
Yeah, Coach Kitley, Brian Davis, the Austin American Statesman. You've been at Tech a while, but this seems like, just an incredible team top to bottom. I mean, what has to happen for you? You guys just don't drop the baton, stay in the lane. How do y'all not win this thing?
Well, I appreciate that. Brian, it's the toughest meet to come into. There's some really great teams here. We respect them all. This is the best team we've ever had in my 20 years there. We feel confident that we can do our job, but we just got to worry about us and just, like you say, try to not make mistakes. Don't worry about that. If we ever do, pick ourselves right back up and keep going. We've got a lot of opportunities to score, and we just got to keep focused on each event.
I was going to ask Coach Flo this as well, but for both of you, having this event here, obviously, what's going on in Eugene, you knew this was going to come, but just for the Texas schools, A&M and Houston and Coach Flo, just how well both of y'all's teams want to do well kind of in your own home state for these 2 years.
Wes, you can go and answer that first.
Yeah, of course, we've been going to Eugene and great venue there, but we loved it being in Texas. A lot of our kids will have all their families here. It makes it so much more fun, a little bit more familiar to us, and a lot easier to get to. So it's a lot easier on us, and I feel like, we're just real happy that it's here and have an opportunity to hopefully do well in the Big 12 also.
Yeah, I mean, I think for us, it's, you have kids competing at the NCAAs all 3 or 4 years, and their parents have never had a chance to watch them compete. So I think moving it around just makes sense, when you're talking about student-athlete experience. And also, being at Texas, you have your sort of fans and families and mom and dad, and some of that is good, some of that is added pressure. But I think for us, it's just a matter of showcasing kind of what we have to offer. I mean, obviously, you can see the history that Oregon has hosted a lot of time, and they've been very successful. I think you can build fans, you can build support, and that adds a little bit more extra boost to your athletes in their performance. So, yeah, we're hoping for a little bit of that duck touch, whatever you want to call it.
Front left, please.
Yeah, Dave Hunter, Track and Field News. A question for Bryce. Coach Floreal was talking about it might be a little warm here in the coming days. So give us some insight on what special adjustments you're going to make with respect to the heat that's expected.
Definitely one of the first things, stay hydrated. I think we all come ready for all conditions, though, and you just got to be ready for anything, whether it be the weather or your competition. Just kind of prepare how you can and get ready for anything.
Question here. Jonathan Galt from Let'sRun.com. Question for Grant. You've talked, I think, when you wrote your letter last year saying you're coming back to Florida, you mentioned 13 flat as one of your big goals. When did that become a goal for you to break that?
I mean, it's always a goal if you have a drive and passion for track and field, So I would say most likely the goal is, it's not out the window, but it's, still in the back of my mind. But coming into this meet is take it one day at a time, one event at a time. First I got the 4x1 with the boys, Hakeem, Ryan Clark, and Raymond. And then from there I go to the hurdles, and then from there to long jump. So, when the record is, available, it will happen. If not, then at the same time, it's my job to come out here, execute, and lead my team to a national title.
And Ronaldo Nehemiah, he was the guy who set that record 40 years ago. Have you ever spoken to him about the record or anything?
I didn't even know Ronaldo Nehemiah. I still don't. I had like one conversation with him. And I was just like, good luck, keep up the good work. I never had a conversation with him.
Okay.
Raise your hand for additional questions, please.
Questions for Armando. Kevin Sully from FloTrack. I know you've had a great history here, vaulting at the Texas Relays even last year. Can you just give us some insight psychologically what it means to vault in this stadium versus other stadiums you've competed in?
Yeah, when I found out that they were going to host, that Austin was going to host the NCAA championships here, made the decision to come to Texas, to not go to Texas Relays a lot easier because, I obviously I've jumped very great here in the past. So, just to get that one UT meet in every year is just always nice confidence boost because I usually jump pretty high. But yeah, it's a great facility. I think it's probably the best place I've ever jumped ever, and I think not only me, but we're going to see some very high bars out of pole vault, and then probably a lot of other great performances in all the other events.
What is it about the venue? I mean, does the wind catch the right way? What is it?
But yeah, the wind can catch for sure. But I don't know. Just the runway, the box, just everything about it is just for some reason everybody just gets on really stiff poles and everybody just jumps really high here. I don't know. It's just something about Texas.
Front left, please, Dave.
Yeah, obviously, this question's directed to Grant and to Mondo, and obviously you're focused on this weekend, and I hope I'll be excused for asking this question. You guys are performing at a very high level. When I talked to Grant about it last year, he said you take it 1 year at a time. Tell us about what your thoughts and plans are after this meet is over, if you would, please.
I'm supposed to go first.
Mm-hmm.
Nothing's really official yet. I'm definitely focused on tomorrow, trying to win the national championship, trying to help our team win the national championship. And whatever happens from there happens. But, I'm definitely just, for now, focused on tomorrow, and then we'll just see from there.
Same thing. Definitely after this season, you got USA, so that will be my next main focus. Of course, to go home, see my family, have a little time off before we have to start ramping things up for USA's. But main focus, I think, like Mondo said, is just to come out here, execute at a high level, and lead a team to a national championship.
Front middle, please.
Yeah, question for Bryce. So I think some has been made. I know I wrote about it in my preview. You haven't lost a race all year. I'm wondering, when did you sort of start? Do you think of that as a win streak that you have to protect? And if so, when did you start sort of thinking, hey, I've got a pretty long streak going here?
I think it first came to prominence during the indoor national championships. One of the commenters kind of mentioned it there, and I think that's when it really kind of started building up. But I try not to let it bring too much pressure. My coach, Coach Witt, just really stays in my head to not to focus on it and just get out there and focus on other things rather than trying to build up this streak and keep it going. But obviously it's something fun to do as well. But,
yeah.
Yeah.
And your fastest time this spring is 1:46. You haven't had to run faster than that to win your races, obviously. How fast do you think you can go, if you need to in the final?
When it comes to that, I mean, obviously I'm going to be some stiff competition with Devin Dixon, but I think I can go however fast it needs to. That's what I've always thought with myself, but I think I'm more of a competitor rather than running for time. So when it comes to it, I think I can give whatever it takes.
In the middle.
For Grant, John mentioned the letter that you wrote at the end of last year, and you laid out a pretty ambitious list of goals, and I know you've made a progress on a lot of them. I mean, the fact that you took so many strides this year, but you're still being challenged by somebody, how much of a surprise was that to you this year?
Not a surprise at all. Like I said, I knew Daniel when he was being coached by Flo at Kentucky. Daniel had just had knee surgery when he first came in, and I tell everybody, in high school, Daniel used to give me the works. It's just how it is. So coming out of high school, I knew about Daniel. You guys probably didn't know about Daniel, but I knew about Daniel. So Daniel has always been great. Daniel has always been good. But then, you guys still forget there's another 6 lanes on the track that other people still have to compete. So I think Daniel's goal, my goal, and whoever's to the right or to the left of me, we all have the same goal at hand, is to win the NCAA championship.
To Coach Flo, just like to ask about Daniel. I mean, did you see the seeds of a sub-13 potentially guy when you were coaching him?
Yeah, Daniel ran 13:22 as a sophomore. I think sophomore, and then the senior year, playing football, he blew out every L's in his knee, ACL piece, you name it. So that was basically, people think he was done, and we decided to take an opportunity on him. And then, he ran 13.6 as a freshman, and he wears those tights because he got tons of scars on it. But he was probably the best hurdler. I think Grant probably attested that before he hurt himself playing football. He was the guy. We were looking at him. So I think ideally, potential coming to fruition. If you look at his progression, it's been sort of heading that way. I mean, there's not many sophomores who've run 13:22 anywhere, and especially coming back from major knee surgery. So I think the kid is gifted. I think Coach Hall is doing a great job coaching him. I'm not going to take credit for somebody else's work, but it's been long coming. And I think it's good. It's always good for the sport to have two guys duking it out. I mean, the event is kind of boring when you got Grant out there doing his thing, but now everybody's looking at the hurdles, and that's cool for Grant. I think that it basically highlighted his potential and his talent, and I'm sure he welcomes the company.
In the middle.
Riley Zayas, Sports Illustrated. This is a question for both coaches, but oftentimes when competing in high-pressure situations, such as the NCAAs, athletes will tend to perform better or worse than they had throughout the whole season. What can you guys say about how you've been preparing your team, especially your freshmen, for such an important meet?
Go ahead.
It's like you can have a checklist and check every single item on that checklist, and it still end up with squadouche. So I think ideally sometimes you need a little luck, and I think having been there before, I've failed so much as an athlete that I can sort of see the signs, and you can see the sign in an athlete. They end up by themselves in the corner, they got their music on, they're not really engaging. So I think as a coach, you're always almost like like a fox. You're just looking and just try to almost stop them from starting overthinking. And it's basically, it's not preparation at this point. It's just you get ahead of yourself. You start thinking, like Grant is saying, you start thinking about the finals. You start thinking about running 13 flat, and you forget that there's 10 hurdles, not 9. So ideally, I think for us, it's just to keep them on task. And keeping on task means I don't care about the finals right now. I just care about the prelims. We got to get out of the prelim, and we can talk about the finals. Don't think about your strategy, who's going to be next to you. Right now, make it one run at a time, one jump at a time. Just focus on doing that. And I think most of the time when people do the exact same thing that got them here, they end up being very successful. And that's kind of what I'm hoping is that the kids wearing the burnt orange will do exactly what it took to get here and keep performing to the level we have.
Wes?
Yeah, totally agree with Flo there. I try to get to know their personality, the freshmen especially. I've got 2 that are going to play vital roles this weekend, and one of them's a little bit looser than the other one of them's a little bit tighter. And so we try to put them in the situation to where we keep them normal as best we can with our upperclassmen. And I think failing a few times helps you learn how to handle these situations. So I think that's a big deal of it. I think you don't learn much till you fall flat on your face, and I think if you can do that in this situation, you're going to be successful.
Can you pass that next to you? Go ahead, sir.
For Coach Kitley, your Texas Tech men were ranked high coming into the indoor meet in March, and seemingly disappointed. Obviously, you guys didn't win the title there and were knocked back a bit from your ranking. I'm wondering if you were able to diagnose what happened, and did you fix anything from indoors to now to this outdoor meet so that you guys will perform better this weekend?
I'd be a genius, wouldn't I, if I could fix that? It is what it is. We were disappointed indoors. We thought we had a really good shot. We went in there and we didn't get it done. I think a few things happened. We had a few injuries that a lot of people don't know about that we tried to not talk about, but the kids knew it, and so I think that put a little bit of doubt there. But I really believe what I just said. We have failed a few times. We've been putting this thing together for 3 or 4 years, trying with this group. And I think finally my juniors and seniors have kind of figured this thing out. And I really think, I handled the team a little bit differently, outdoors especially. I didn't overwork people at the Big 12, especially my sprinters. I'm hoping that pays off. We'll see. But I didn't do that the year before. And so I just think we're taking a little bit different approach. We hope that it works. But I'm just really relying on the seasoned group. Flo said it. We just got to go do what we did. Go do what we did in the first round. I think we'll be fine, but we've got to take one race at a time.
Did you feel like you had to pull back on Divine at all a little bit after he ran 9.9 and 19.7 on one day in April?
Well, it takes you back, when it's done in 40-something minutes apart. I think we looked at it, and we never raced him very early this year like we did the year before. And then he ran fast, but we saw this coming. I knew he was going to run fast. I didn't know he was going to run that fast that day in both the 1 and the 2. But he's a special kid, and he's a team guy all the way. He was begging me to run 4x4, and I pull out the plug on 4x4 this past weekend. And he's for the team, and but I feel real good where he's at, and I think Coach Robinson's done a fabulous job with him, keeping him where we need to have him at this time of year.
And can he break the 1969 collegiate record this weekend?
Oh, I think he can. I don't know if he will this weekend, but I think he can.
There you go.
Question for Grant. So when you were talking about your race at SECs, you must have said the word execute maybe like 5 times. You said you didn't execute.
Oh, yeah, I ran like shit.
Sorry?
I ran like shit.
How specifically did you not execute? What did you do wrong?
Well, you want to know everything or just from the naked eye?
As detailed as you feel comfortable going.
First off, Coach always talks about the first 3 steps. I didn't do nothing with the first 3 steps, so I didn't have no momentum towards the end. That's why I died. Over top of the hurdle, hands weren't where they're supposed to be. In between the hurdles, hands weren't where they're supposed to be. Coming off the hurdle, had no momentum. That's just, the naked eye. If you go into real detail, we'd be here all day. But, I guess now it's just more so, going forward. We got Olympics, we got World. You going forward. If you do that, you're not going to make it to the final. That's a life lesson. So I'd rather have it SECs versus, NCAA. So, valuable lesson learned. 21 years old, a lot of life to live.
We have time for 2 last questions for this group. Brian?
Yeah. Flo, I'm curious. How do you take that confidence right there, pull it out, and put it into any athlete that's out there?
Probably a little story. I'm sure you guys all know Kenny Harrison. That'd be really ironic for you guys. You break the American record. You're the 2nd fastest woman in history in Eugene, Oregon, the same track that you're going to run the Olympic trials in. You come back in the Olympic trials, you run 12:60, and you stink it up to high heaven. And I'll skip to the next part. Then you want to quit track and go home and never be seen again. And 11 days later, you break the world record. When you look at that scenario, I think the difference is you guys don't see the days and nights. My life was pure hell after the trials, and I didn't have much of a choice. I can throw in the towel, or I can just find a way to revitalize. And I think the job of a coach is if you have a relationship with the athletes, and I think it's becoming more of a lost art. Truly spending time with these young people, and these millennials. Grant, you can see Grant down there. He'd probably drive me bonkers. But they're just a different kind of athletes. Like Tom Herman was talking about. It used to be tough love. Now it's love tough. If you're not deeply invested in being almost like a parent to them and spending time with them, you will not be able to get inside their cranium and kind of get them to bounce back. It's like you can be a great coach, you can have all the X and O's, but Grant Holloway and Mike Holloway have a great relationship. You can tell. Sometimes you know which one is the kid. It's like one of them is the coach, one of them is the kid. But I think it's like if you really look at that and look at their relationship, it makes perfect sense how well it's doing. So my strength, people say Flo knows. Flo don't know as much as you think Flo knows. Flo knows that the athletes get the job done, and my job is to be a support at all times to get the information to do it. So after Kenny had the disaster, I want to quit too, man. I was, as a coach, you're a little bit down, but we spent a lot of time just her and I just having lunch, having breakfast, she was embarrassed. She didn't want anybody to lay eyes on her. So I was sort of the daddy, guy, the brother. I just held her hands for 11 days, and I just refused to let her tell me the outcome of the next race. So she was not allowed to take anything. This is the word. The word is kill. We're going to go down to London, and our word was, we're going to embarrass these people. They're going to know that you just got lucky. And first it was no, then she bought into it. Then it's like, thank God. And she bought into it, and she starts saying, when can we get to daggone London? I cannot wait to do this. And in the first round, we were talking, and the thing is, you can put scenarios in the athlete's mind. We put a scenario was, run as fast as you can the first round in London, but make it look easy. So she came off the last hurdle and ran 12:40 and walked across the line. And the first thing she said, and that's where the art of coaching comes. First thing she said to me was, 12:40 would have won the triathlon, and I didn't let her finish because I know she finished. It was going to be a sob story. 12:40, I said, shut up. And she shut up, and I said, what's the next word? Kill him in the final. And then I told her, lean hard, and she says, you said not to lean. I said, I changed my mind. And then I changed her warm-up to really piss her off. So by the time the gun went up, she was so agitated and aggravated with me that she just took it out in the competition, and she leaned, and, obviously you got the world record. But all that to be saying is that coaches have to spend a lot of time with the athletes, and I think that sometimes people undervalue that, like the amount of time we spend away from home to be with the athletes, because you have to, in supporting these young people. And I think that's what it boils down to, having great, healthy relationship with the student athletes and just being available for them as much as you can to create those great marks.
Last question, front left.
Yeah, thank you. A question for Grant. 3 years in college, very talented. You've stayed at the University of Florida. A different athlete with those same skills might have made another choice before now. You've always had the talent, but now we hear you talking about being a technician and analyst. Is that something that you can attribute to the fact that you stayed in college these 3 years?
Definitely. Coach Holloway made promises, from when I was a senior in high school. I haven't made a USA team yet. I had high chances coming. I had high chances coming to making a junior team my senior year in high school, and I lost. I got third. They only take 2. So at that point, it was I told Coach Holloway I was like, I don't want to lose to nobody no more. How can I get better? How can I do it? So from there, Coach Holloway made a promise. He was like, if you come to the University of Florida, I will make sure, one, to develop you as a better man and then also a better athlete. So, Coach Holloway has made promises and he stood by his promises. And, my dad always said a man is only as good as his word. So, Coach Holloway is a awesome, phenomenal coach. And, staying here these 3 years and then even next year, it's gonna be a blessing.